Now, blackouts on live TV shows are not generally considered to be a good thing, but last night's Strictly Come Dancing used one deliberately to very powerful effect.
Yes, it came during the routine by the comedian Chris McCausland, who's blind, and his dance partner Diane Boswell. If you missed it, take a look.
Now, Chris studied at the Royal College for the Blind in Herefordshire in the 1990s, and current students from there say he is inspirational. Our reporter, Matt Hutchinson, went to speak to some of them.
Comedian Chris McCausland has been a pioneer on Strictly this year, wowing audiences and judges alike as the programme's first ever blind contestant.
Your Viennese crosses were something to be witnessed. They were fantastic.
Despite losing his sight many years ago, Chris and his professional partner have found new ways for him to learn complex routines every week. 30 years after Chris studied in Hereford, current students at his old college are thrilled he's defying expectations on Strictly.
It's really good, especially for those who don't know anything about VI. I think, again, like I said, some people think that people who have vision impairments just can't really do anything or can't do much with their life besides piano tuning.
I really hope that he can win it. It'd be really cool to have someone who is VI like us winning Strictly.
And as you can see, students here are literally following in Chris's dancing footsteps. This ballet class has been adapted with its teaching techniques to help those who are visually impaired.
We're going to do 3, and then we're going to do a little port de bras.
I'm very descriptive of what I do. I use a lot of imagery to help them imagine what positions it should be like. I use my voice a lot, so they know which way to face, for example. We talk about different rhythms. Sometimes I get them to clap different rhythms.
Chris's connection to the college remains strong, and his dances on primetime TV are helping to both raise awareness and give real representation for blind people.
For our students, for the VI community as a whole, but I think for the whole of society, seeing somebody like Chris out there dancing, living his best life, just showing you can do anything with the training, with the skills, with the willingness to throw yourself into it. You can achieve absolutely anything. He's an embodiment of that.
Whatever happens during the rest of his time on Strictly, its impact will no doubt be felt for many years to come.
Well, we're joined now by Shaun Hayward, who's a partially sighted dancer, and his gorgeous guide dog, Kevin, who is being beautifully behaved, lying next to him at the moment. We'll see Kevin in just a sec. Shaun, brilliant to have you with us this morning. How are you? All right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'll just correct you there. I'm totally blind, actually.
OK, I beg your pardon. So,
That's
look,
all right.
And obviously taking that into account then,
yeah.
How are you getting a sense of how well Chris is doing on Strictly Come Dancing at the moment?
The last couple of years we've had audio description,
yeah, and
it's absolutely fantastic. She's really thorough. So I'm going, you know, on every dancer, I know what they're doing. So it's really good, really good.
And what impact does that kind of representation on a big show like that have for other people who are blind or partially sighted?
Massive, massive. I've been banging this drum for about 14 years. I started dancing in 2010 with modern jive and salsa. And ever since then, I've always been trying to push it towards people with sight loss, but also people with social anxiety, especially since COVID. You know, that we've all got something wrong, you know, and if I can push that along, so Chris being on the show is brilliant.
Obviously, it comes with challenges, trying to learn a routine if you are blind or partially sighted. Is there any sense in which you have an edge, in the sense, are you more attuned to the, more sensitive to the music, to the beats, to the rhythms? Are there any advantages?
For me personally, there is, because I'm a musician. So, you know, I've got that in the bag, and musicality and timing. But generally, I'd say no, not really. I don't think so. Just the same fears as everybody else, you know.
We're just watching, Shaun, a clip of you dancing at the moment, and you can move, let me tell you that. But when you're starting to learn a new routine, just talk us through the process, how that works.
Yeah, so I've been doing ballroom just only 2 years, and I never thought I would because it's so difficult, ballroom Latin. And I've actually got bronze, silver and gold in them now. And I was the first blind guy to compete at Blackpool last year at the Winter Gardens. Wow. So did that within 18 months, and that's all down to Jamie, the teacher. As soon as I was there, she just went, look, you know, you need to compete, you're that good. And that must be my musicality and stuff. So I really just started thinking down about patterns and how they work. And sometimes I might put my hand on the table and kind of go do stuff like this. And how's that going to work? And think about it that way. And then it just, the more, it's like anything, guys, you know, the more you do it, you're connecting the dots. Yeah. You know?
I mean, huge credit goes to Chris. I suppose we also want to acknowledge Diane and the way that she's approached this as well.
She's been doing brilliantly. Yeah. You know, to be thrown in at the deep end like that and just go, it's not only about dealing with someone with sight loss, it's that individual. How do they think? How do they work? Do they work in numbers? Do they work in patterns?
Because not everyone is going to be this.
No, look, I always say disability happens to people.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's as simple as that. And you've got to remember that. We're all different. Yeah.
How easy or difficult do you find it to encourage other people to have a go? Because I was just reading one of the Sunday papers. Apparently, we're seeing Chris and some of his performances now. Apparently, his daughter said to him, like, oh, you know, are you sure you're not going to fall off the stage and break your leg? You know, you make a fool of yourself on national TV. And he said that he's turned the show down several times until he felt ready to do it. Yeah. Is there a reluctance? Do you find people are less willing to take that chance?
Funny enough, when I first promoted this back in, I think it was about 2012, I did an article for the Beeb. And trying to encourage blind people then was really difficult. A lot of people just said it's out of the comfort zone. So that's why I started pushing it more towards people with social anxiety and stuff like that. Because of other guys that had come up to me at dance and said, you know what, Shaun, I thought I couldn't do this, but I saw you and I just thought, you know what, I've got to crack on. And I thought, this is bigger than just people with sight loss, what I'm doing. It's trying to encourage, I'd say, anybody with anything.
And actually, it's bigger than just dancing, because I know that you really want it to send the message that people have got to think again where they put limitations around people with sight loss. And the point that you make is that the number of people who are partially sighted who are in employment is still very low and hasn't shifted that much over the last few decades.
No, I think it's 1 in 4 or under that. And yet there's some incredibly highly educated, tech-savvy, blind and partially sighted kids out there fighting to get work, and they're not getting work. And these anonymous surveys were done, and most employers just said they wouldn't employ somebody with sight loss. So attitudes haven't changed no matter what positive messages we're putting out there, which, to be honest, it's a shame. It's a real shame, and it's a loss because it is, you know, as I say, disability happens to people. It happens to people like you guys. You know, like, it can happen to anybody at any time. It doesn't change you.
Do you think the attitudes are changed by someone like Chris being on a big show like Strictly?
It's chipping away, isn't it? You know, it's just about chipping away at stuff. And I do it all day long, you know. I like with Kev now, I hand out like postcards with his picture on all the time when I'm walking around, and I engage with people. Because instantly when they're chatting to me, they're like, oh, yeah, you know, because they know I'm Shaun who's blind. I'm not that blind guy. Oh, and he's called Shaun, you know?
Does Kevin ever come to the dances with you?
Does he
try and join in?
No, Kev just does the scoring. It's always a 7 from Kevin.
Yeah. I don't think we're even going to get a 7. He doesn't look impressed at our...
But it's the lack of biscuits, guys. You know what I mean? You'd be lucky if you get a 3.
So what next for you then, Shaun? What are your ambitions at the moment for you personally?
Well, like I say, I've got all the medals. I was the first blind guy to compete, so I've ticked that box. I'm not interested now. I'm somebody that likes to move on and do new things. I'll still keep dancing, but I personally, I mean, while I've got the airtime, I would love to do a performance with Amy Dowden. That is my dream, because I got diagnosed with IBD, inflammatory bowel disease, last year, and I've been hospitalised 4 times this year with flare-ups and blood clots and stuff, and I really understand the depths of that condition now. So I've only just got back dancing, and I just think that if Amy sees this, and next year maybe if we can get together and do a dance around Crohn's colitis and everything she's been through and everything I've been through with my sight as well, I think we could create something really special.
Well, listen, hopefully she's watching this morning.
Yeah.
She's certainly been on this show with us not too
She's a
long
beautiful
ago.
human being.
Yeah, she really is, yeah, and we wish her all the best as well, I know. Thank you, Shaun, and thank you, Kevin. I think possibly the most beautifully behaved dog we've actually had on this.
Yeah. Well, that's unusual because he did a runner earlier. So.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And it's because Rachel had toast, and we realised that's where it got.
Lovely to meet you
I did the same, to be honest. But, all right, Kevin, that's it. Yeah, time to go, that's it. You've been so well behaved.
It's coming through.
Just the mere mention of toast is live.
Yeah, it is.
Hello. You're a beauty, aren't you?
Our thanks to Shaun and to Kevin. Sunday with Laura